Desi Jags. I'll go 1 minute rant on Desi Jags because I want to introduce my group. Desi Jags was established to actually help students with academic problems, essentially like the one we are dealing with right now, and something like on-campus employment. So there are some student affairs we deal with and help students with academic problems. And that's one vertical we have. The other vertical is we have fun and we do academics. So the fun part is we also do events. We celebrate our culture very proudly. We do Diwali, Holi events and multiple events year long. So please follow us and please be updated about it. Yeah, so Desi Jags was founded to actually address these two objectives. One, to make ourselves feel at home, because we'll be constantly missing Diwali in Sankranti and whatever festival we celebrate, and also help students with student affairs. Okay, and the one we are dealing with right now, EAP, is usually, this is basically a test to see if we are proficient enough with English to actually understand the lecture we are given at IUPI, and we are able to interact with our lecturers, our advisors, and our peers effectively. So that's the cutoff. So most of you do not have to worry about it at all. It's, if you've given TOEFL or IELTS, it's very similar to that. So it's not a huge deal, but I'll get into it in a second, like why people actually fail EAP. But we've actually seen that there's only two primary reasons why people actually don't make the cutoff for EAP. One is they're too laid back and they do not take this seriously, and they just show up at the examination center without any thinking for it. So please make sure you're actually serious about it. And if you're here, it already qualifies that. So just don't take it for granted and just show up and like take it easy. You have to be a little conscious about it. I'll tell you why. If you actually fail EAP, you will have to register for English courses, which can be more than 3 classes, depending on which section you fail, right? And each of these credit is going to cost you $1,000. And these credits do not count towards your degree. So if you need 30 credits or 36 credits to pass, these English credits are not going to count towards it. And the worst part is you will have to pay the extra amount from your given bank loan, which only gave a loan for these 36 credits. So you will be paying more out of your pocket. So this is important. So make sure you put your attention to it and get it done. And I promise you, so if you have done TOEFL and IELTS, you can clear this, but you have to be just serious about it. Just don't take it for granted. Funny story. Most of the team you see here, unfortunately, has not given the EAP. There's only Mrudula who has given the EAP test. So we have basically, over the semesters, contacted students who have actually given the exam. Right? And we collected the information and we generated a consensus, like everything, all the information that's matching over all students, and created this information. This is the best of our knowledge, but take it with a grain of salt, because what we are trying to do here is we are basically presenting you a frame, a skeleton that, hey, this is what you can expect when you actually show up to the exam. This is the section, and this is how long it's going to be. This is how many questions it's going to be. But that might differ from your exam to my exam, right? So like, please keep that in mind. And when you're giving the exam, don't stick to the mindset that, hey, they said there's going to be only 10 questions. Why are there more questions, or why are there less questions, right? So don't have an open mind about it. So we are trying our best to actually collect as much as information and present it. And our team has done a splendid job. They've been contacting new students, like who have taken the exam like yesterday and the day before online from India, and basically incorporated that information in here. All right. So what we'll do here is I'll give you a general overview, and each of my team members are going to break it down each section and are going to help you how to handle the exam, and they'll give you a few tips on how to break it down. So the test will happen in what is called Canvas. So Canvas is going to be a portal which we will use for our courses too. So you will get familiar with it slowly, but this is probably the first time you will actually see it. And there will be, so if you actually reach out to the EAP, you probably have already received the instructions on where to take the test, or if you have an online exam, you already have that instruction. So make sure you have your IU email address, your Crimson card if you already have it. If you don't have a Crimson card, make sure you have your university ID handy. And if you don't have a Crimson card, they might also need your passport. So just keep it in hand, right? So the testing center, which is in the science building, usually does the testing, and you will receive those clear instructions in the email. Like I said, please do not take it for granted. And like I said, the primary two reasons people actually flunk in EAP is, one, they take it too easy, and they mismanage the time. So we are going to give you some tips about like how to manage your time and basically quota things. Okay. Everybody good until now? All right. Any questions or concerns? You can hear me, right?
Can we get this now?
Yeah, definitely. We will share this PPT in the group.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So getting started with the section breakdown, there's going to be primarily two sections. The first one is going to be the writing section, right? This, from what we've heard from students, is going to be the harder part, right? And this is going to be for approximately 45 minutes. And our team is going to break it down further and give you more instructions about it. And then there is going to be listening, reading, grammar, and vocab. This is going to be for an hour, and it will be divided into multiple sections, and each one will have its own separate quota time. I mean, like, it will span for a 60-minute, but like you'll see the breakdown further. So the listening and reading is approximately around 60 questions. And again, take this with a grain of salt, because sometimes we've seen that this number of questions has changed. Okay. And the qualifying score is at least 50. Like, you have to have 50 to actually pass the listening and reading. And from what we've heard, students have told us that listening and reading is the easier part, and the writing is a little more difficult, challenging. So the total score for writing is you're graded for 6 points, which is similar to the GRE writing we take. And you have to have at least 4 to actually qualify for writing. Okay. Pujita is going to take over from here. She's going to break down the section and she's going to give you tips. I'll chime in if I can add something. Okay.
So as Vidur has already mentioned you guys about the general instructions that you're going to be taking for the test, I'm just going to revise them. So if you take the test online, basic thing, you need a good internet connection. And the exam proctor will assist you through all the login details and see all your settings. So they're going to see if you have any books around you and if there's anybody sitting around you and such. And you'll need your Crimson card. But if you don't have your Crimson card yet, you will need your passport and also your university ID number. And you should have your CAS or ADS login credentials. That is nothing but your IU username and your password. And of course, don't have your phones, calculators, or watches around you.
Or calculator watches.
Yeah. And you're allowed to have a piece of paper and a pen while you're taking the test online. Then for on campus, it's almost the same. I think the only thing that differs is make sure that you're before time if you're scheduling it on campus. And you'll also be giving certain orientation schedule during the exam. Everything else is pretty much the same. So now I'm going to talk about writing. So writing is 45 minutes, and then you will be given one topic to write for or against it during your exam. So this writing, as Vidur said, follows the GRE format. And I'm going to be giving you certain tips about it. First, of course, the punctuations are important. Make sure you have the commas, hyphens, quotations, the spacing and capitalization, your grammar, which has to be precise. And make sure you break down your entire writing into paragraphs of equal length. So we'll go about how to do that later. Now, and do not ever deviate from the main topic. Always stick to what you're given and don't use too many repetitive words, or don't try to paraphrase the same sentence and write again. Now, so when I was talking about dividing the paragraphs, divide your paragraphs into 4 sections. That's what we insist. So have your introduction, 2 parts of the body, and 1 conclusion. So I'll explain this to you with an example. Suppose the topic given to you is the best way for a society to prepare its young people for leadership in government, industry, or other fields is by instilling a sense of cooperation and not competition. If this was the topic that was given to you, you should choose to either speak against or for. Now, I'm choosing to speak for the topic. So in your introduction, make sure you have something like a basic, try to restate what the statement says and set your position. Like, are you going to speak for or against the topic? So I would try to give an introduction saying that in the history of leadership that I have seen, I think a sense of cooperation is important than not the competition. So when I say that, then I'm establishing a statement that I'm going to be speaking for, and you should be ready to jot down some points for the body where you have to try to establish reasoning that why you choose to do it for or against. So the first part of the body, you can have an example, or you can take some historic leadership person. Like, for example, I can say Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was somebody who was competitive with other countries, and you have seen how it not having a sense of cooperation has led to, right? And in the second part of it, you can use like CEOs of a company. You want to know that CEOs have a sense of cooperation in them rather than competition, so that they have their own ideas to instill. Then in the conclusion, just summarize the general topic that you have given and how you have been reasoning with in the body and your introduction. So that establishes your ground, and make sure you follow these, like the set introduction, body, and conclusion. Whether will give you some takeaway tips for this.
So this is something I actually believe that this is very important for not just EAP exam. This is for any academic writing. Like if you're writing a paper, if you're writing a discussion for your class, right? So I like to have mental clarity before I start writing. So which is why we suggest this step where we actually break down the writing time into some sections. Okay. So say we have 45 minutes, right? The first 5 minutes, I'm just thinking about the problem. Like this is all my thought process. Like I'm doing my brainstorming and trying to jot down my key points. I'm basically building a skeleton. Like how's my flow going to be? What are the points I'm going to discuss in intro? What are the points I'm going to discuss in my body? What is my punchline? What is my conclusion? So this is going to give you an idea. You already have a blueprint. And that's going to give you a clarity of mind that's going to save a lot of time. Right? So once you have that skeleton in place, and try and have the skeleton in place in the first 5 minutes. Okay. And once you're done with that, this is the easy part. Like you basically expand these points. The 35 minutes, you spend it on expanding it. And don't like waste the 35 minutes, the 20 minutes of the 35 minutes on the intro. Like spare it. Like you organize it. Organize this 30 minutes also according to your essay. So if you feel like the second body of the passage is going to need more weight, you spare more time to it. Okay. Quota your time accordingly and expand whatever you have jotted down. Okay, this is very important. The last 5 minutes, you have to stop. You have to stop writing, conclude, and then go through all of your essay. Because a lot of time what happens is when we are in a hurry and we are thinking through points and like we are jumping from one point to another point, you're missing clarity. Like if there's connection lost, or even worse, the sentence is misformed, or there's grammatical mistakes or spelling mistakes, right? So you spare the last 5 minutes to actually go through the essay again and see if it is actually making sense. This is very important because you don't want a very well-built passage, and if there's like spelling mistakes in it, it's not going to really look good. Or if the sentence is misformed, you might not convey your point as easy, right? And this is not just with EAP. This is with any academic writing, okay? Yeah, Soumya is going to take over from here, and she's going to talk about like listening and rest of the sections.
So here comes the easiest part of the exam, listening. EAP listening is pretty much similar to IELTS or TOEFL listening. There's nothing very different in EAP listening. You would have a total of 25 to 30 questions. And in this listening, you're going to listen to two kinds of audio clips, dialogue type and the lecture type. Dialogue type is basically you'd listen to a conversation that's happening between two persons, and after each and every dialogue, a question is going to be displayed on your screen, and they're expected you to respond to the question, and you would be given 10 seconds to answer each question. And the second type is the lecture type. You're going to have around 10 to questions of this type. A lecture type audio clip is basically a monologue, which is more of like a speech given by one person. They expect you to listen to this complete audio clip, grasp things, and then answer the given set of 3 or 4 questions in a given time. I would suggest you to answer each and every question in the given time, because you would not be allowed to go forth and backward and come and answer. So better you answer the questions, don't leave anything blank. So here are few listening tips to score well in this section. Just don't get distracted by your own thoughts. Listen and focus on the speaker as well as the topic, and be in sync with the audio clip at every point of time. It's very easy. If you can understand me right now, you can understand the audio clips as well. Just be confident and answer the questions. And the other tip is, while you're listening the audio clips, just write down the keywords, so you do not miss out any information. Or when you see the keyword, you may remind the audio clip. And as I have already told, the first 10 to 15 questions in this section are going to be of dialogue type, where you would listen to a conversation and are expected to respond to the questions. So that's really going to be easy, and try to score very well in that section. In this section, there's no re-editing, which means you cannot, as I've already mentioned, you cannot go forth and backward and change your answers. So I would really request you to not leave any question unanswered. Since there's no negative marking, just answer each and every question. And one more tip is, if you are stuck with any of the questions, just don't stay there and move forward, because if you do that, you're going to miss the rest. Leave that 1 or 2 questions and then be in sync with the audio clip and try to answer the rest. So next comes the reading section. In the reading section, there's going to be grammar and vocabulary related questions as well. The section in total would have around 30 questions, starting with few grammar and vocabulary related questions. These questions may include questions related to prepositions, like basically selecting the appropriate preposition for a sentence, and all of them are going to be multiple choice questions, so it's going to be easy. And synonyms and antonyms. Again, they're not going to just give a word and ask for synonym or antonym. They're going to highlight a word in a sentence and going to ask you to select what is the appropriate synonym from the set of multiple choices given. I hope it's easier, right, than just giving the word. you can relate, you can replace the words into the sentence and then try to find out which is the better one. And meanings of the word in the same way, they're going to just highlight the words in the sentence and ask you to find the meaning. And few sentence corrections. So these might include some knowledge regarding the tenses, I expect. And so next you would have around 20 questions related to comprehension type essays. You might have, it actually differs based on the size of the passage. The number of passages you're going to get are going to differ. So don't expect the same with 5 or more questions in each passage. All the questions in this section are going to be of multiple choice type, and they're not going to restrict time to each and every passage, but I would suggest to allocate appropriate time to the passage so that you don't spend all of your time in a passage and get carried away by it. Here are a few tips to score well in this section. What I would suggest is before starting to read the passage, once go through the questions. That way you would have an idea what you are looking for in the passage. And then skim through the passage. Skimming through the passage, you can just skim through the passage. You need not go and read line to line. You can just read first 2 sentences and last 2 sentences of each paragraph. That way you know where the information is located. When you're answering any question, you would know where the information related to this question is located, and you can directly jump over there and find the answers. Look for some keywords. While reading the passage, try to write down some few keywords on the piece of paper that you have, and make some flow charts if you can quickly. So that way it would be very easy for you while answering the questions. And the next tip would be break down each sentence into bite-sized snippets. This would be appropriate to grammar related questions where you can actually break the sentence to easily answer it. On an average, you're not supposed to spend more than 30 seconds on each question. If you do this, you're not going to miss any question because of time. You'll have enough time to answer each and every question. And when you read the passage, just try to write down gist of each paragraph in the piece of paper that you have. That way you can easily locate which paragraph you have to go to when you need to answer the questions. And here are a few resources that we have where you can go through, and they would really help to score well in the exam. So all the best for your exam, and if there are any questions, we are ready to answer. Yeah.
Is the test adaptive?
Huh?
Is the test adaptive?
No.
I think like there's already a set of questions already built in, but I know what you're asking. So she's asking if let me explain. So she's asking if I am answering questions correctly, is my difficulty going to increase? Right? No, so no GTA logic here. Luckily, they already have like a built-in set of questions and they're going to repeat them as it's. So yeah, we are fortunate that way. So yeah, it's pep talk time. So you want the football coach or do you want Shah Rukh Khan from Check the India? So I'm certain that if you guys are already here, you're serious about it and you can actually make it. I'm not even like joking or like I want to like pep you. No, I'm being very honest. It's just that the reason we do EAP session is like people actually take it very granted and they'll be like, yeah, like we gave TOEFL and IELTS, like this is a similar one, like we can get it through. And like they don't have a frame expected before they go in and they just lag behind in time. And that's the reason we've observed that people fail in EAP. So that's basically what we are trying to avoid, right? So you're here, you know what to expect, you're now serious about it. So it's pretty easy now. Like I'm pretty confident about you guys. So be confident, relax, don't be in a hurry. have your quota time. They go one step at a time, one thing at a time. You can get it. Okay. One more thing I wanted to ask you guys is, we always take feedback from students who have actually given the exam. So please help us change this documentation if you feel like there's a better tip, or if you feel like there's a completely inaccurate information here, please let us know, because the EAP people, the English people who actually conduct the tests, they are very unresponsive. Like, we keep sending them emails, asking them, we even call them for like the information. They're like just basically similar to TOEFL and IELTS. Students can only expect that, and they basically avoid, because they want money, right? Like, they want that Indian rupee converted into dollar. So yeah, all the best. Do well. Let us know if you have any questions. And we've seen that every time we